So I just stumbled across a gym. I didn't have any intentions on reviewing this bike, but I'm so glad I came up here to American Biker today because what we have is a 2022 Triumph Tiger 900. Now this is the standard model, or the GT model I think is what they actually call it. They have a Pro model, a Rally model, and then a Rally Pro model. So this is more of the basic 900, but there's really nothing basic about this motorcycle. So I'm gonna tell you what I like, what I don't like. We're gonna take it out on the road. I'm gonna talk about the abundance of features, some of which I'll talk about here, others I will talk about on the road and give you my overall opinion of this motorcycle. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, like I said, big thanks to American Biker here in Latson, South Carolina. If you wanna come look at this Triumph Tiger, or maybe a new Indian, or a used Harley, or a variety of motorcycles, ATVs, all kinds of stuff here, man, come talk to Rob at American Biker. Now let me cover the basic specs. 427 pounds is the dry weight, so the running weight is still well under 500 pounds. You have a 5.2 gallon tank. You have a 32 to 33 inch seat height. It actually has a adjustable seat where you can adjust it, I think, up to 20 millimeters for your seat height really quickly. And they also make a low model of this bike for more vertically challenged riders, kind of like myself. Now I am 5'7", but I identify as a taller person, so don't judge me. You also have a passenger seat, fully heated, grips and seat here, by the way, with the press of a button on the left-hand side. Again, some of the controls in the screen I'll talk about on the road. Starting up at the front, you have the Torrance Next tires. I've never heard of these, but this is a British-made motorcycle, so that's probably why. You have a 19 and a 17-inch wheel, respectively. You have a really cool, different kind of cut on that wheel, by the way. You don't really see that too often. It's kind of got like an offset to the spokes. You have dual 320 millimeter rotors up front with dual Brembo calipers, and then a single setup in the rear. You have an inverted front suspension. Now I know I'm gonna butcher this name. Somebody's gonna correct me, that's fine. But it's a Mariochi or Marioki suspension. Now the cool thing between the GT and the Pro is the Pro comes with an adjustable suspension directly from your display. This one is adjustable, but you have to manually adjust it for preload, okay? This is where you can adjust your suspension. But I wanted to show you, this thing is so new. On your battery tender and right here on your oil fill cap, it still has the tags on there, which is just insane to me. And then of course you do have the cast aluminum swing arms on both sides, this kind of cool exoskeleton on the outside of the bike. So they've actually kind of lightened it up with the engineering and stuff that they've done on this bike. So I'm really excited to see how this thing rides because aesthetically I'm really impressed with it. Again, you have a 900cc motor. This is liquid cool. You have dual radiators in the front with, of course, dual fans, 6-speed transmission, adjustable clutch lever. It's got an assist clutch to it as well. Super easy pull, very minimal pressure on your hands there, which I'm a really big fan of. You have these hand protectors, if you will, right here in the front. Mirrors, of course, up on top. Minimal rise, but I think the difference between this and older models is they actually move the bars in a little bit closer to the rider, so it's gonna make it more of an upright position. You have an adjustable windshield. Now, it's not a power adjust like the Indians, but you literally just take your hand and you can pull it up or push it back down, however you wanna do that. 7-inch TFT display, one of the most beautiful displays I've ever seen on a motorcycle, with a ton of information that of course we're gonna get into. Of course you have your key right here, starter switch, all that good stuff. By the way, you gotta pull in the clutch to be able to start this even in neutral. Now from what I understand, depending on the Tiger model you get, it will have different peg positions, okay? This one is more of a mid-control setup, so your feet are gonna kind of be right up under you. And then of course your passenger has a little bit of a setup there as well. Grab handles, removable seat, and under this seat, by the way, of course you have your battery under here. You actually have a toolkit under here. You can adjust your seat height under here with a little bar that you just move back and forth. And then under the passenger pillion, you actually have a USB with a little storage container in there. So kind of a cool little setup. It's not super convenient. I think most riders will still put some kind of a RAM mount, or better yet, a quad lock setup like I have with wireless charging. That would be ideal. This is a triple engine, so essentially the firing order has been changed, so it's like 1-3-2. So that's supposed to give you more torque and more power through the rev range. By the way, you're looking at 97 horsepower and like 87 foot-pounds of torque. So it doesn't sound like a monster, but I hope that I'm gonna be pleasantly surprised from the performance that this puts out. It's got the 3-into-1 exhaust right there in the front. They've redesigned that too to keep more heat off of the rider into a single exhaust on the right-hand side. LEDs all the way around. You actually have this cool LED bar in the front that kind of goes across the top, which, like I said, aesthetically, this bike is pretty awesome, dude. And so Rob told me, he was like, hey man, I got a Triumph if you want to review that. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, okay. And when I seen this bike, it is pretty stunning up close. You know, you're talking about less than $14,000. This bike has 53 miles on it, by the way. 53, not 553, not 1,053, 53 miles. That's it. So this bike is basically brand new, and I cannot wait to get on it and actually ride it. They've narrowed up the seat a little bit as well. And then of course you have your LEDs out back there. Taller bike, of course, so more of an adventure type. You have 4 different modes. You have rain mode, sport mode, touring mode, and then off-road mode. The Pro model is going to give you an additional configurable mode that you can obviously set up for yourself however you like it. Cornering ABS, regular ABS, and traction control. Of course, your traction control and stuff, you can turn that off if you choose. Bunch of different options into the screen, and overall, just a sexy off-road type of dual sport. But this one is, like I said, more set up for the road, not so much for off-road. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my helmet on. Let's get saddled up and let me see how this thing does out there on the road.
All right, here it is, 2022 Triumph 900 Tiger. Let's try this bad boy out here. By the way, the spring on that kickstand is springy, really springy. I like it. So one thing that separates this from other dual sport, or I don't know, off-road type of bikes that I've ridden, is it's got a fairly low seat height. Now I see on the seat itself it actually says like Triumph low something or another, so it may already have the low seat on it. I'm not too sure. And normally I don't have to worry about tires because anytime on the used bikes are already broken in, but this one, it is not even broken in. I mean, 53 miles, dude. 53. All right, let's do it. All right, here we go. 2022 Triumph Tiger 900. What's cool is whenever you hit the throttle, check out this right here. Kind of opens up. That's really cool. You got a fuel gauge over on the left hand side of the screen. You have your of course coolant temperature. Now the one thing I couldn't find is this right here. It almost looks like a lane departure thing in a standard vehicle. So I don't know, I thought it was kind of cool. You can go through this screen. It's a 7-inch TFT display. It's one of the most beautiful displays I've ever seen on a bike, seriously. And you can go through and change the different styles on here. You can change some of the colors. So it's actually, it's got a bunch of information. And for this being the base model, it's got a lot. So there's not like a significant drop in value and features compared to the Pro model, which is always a great thing, right? 900cc, we have riding modes. So just by pressing this M on the left switch over here, we can change the riding modes, which I'm about to do. as soon as this car figures out where he wants to go. So you got to get pretty high in the rev range to get the max torque and horsepower. I want to say at like 8,700 RPMs is where you're going to be max horsepower, and like 7,200 RPMs is where you're going to be max torque. But you can see it redlines at like 12,000 RPMs. It's got some pep to it. My seating position is way better than what I was expecting. I'm pretty much upright. While my arms are stretched out in front of me, it's not like I'm like bent over the tank or anything like that. Brake stop on a dime. Clutch lever is really easy to engage. I mean, super easy. It does have an assist slipper clutch in here as well. We're gonna try out one of the different riding modes. We got road, we got sport, and I assume it'll probably change whenever we come to a stop. Let's see if I can adjust this on the road. Oh yeah. Hey, you just push this bar towards the front, boom, you can lower it down, you can bring it back up. Pretty nifty. By the way, some people may say that's gimmicky, and maybe it is a little bit on this bike, but I know on the Indians, it actually makes a pretty big difference. So instead of having a full windshield, of course I'm getting a good amount of air, but it's keeping a good amount of the air off of my chest. So I don't know how it would do over a longer ride. I can't speak to that because I'm not going to be on this thing for that long, right? Let's make sure everybody stops here. All right, appreciate it. But I would hope because of that it's keeping a lot of the wind off your chest, that it will keep down the fatigue more, right? Yeah, this thing's peppy. This is one of those bikes that seems intimidating, but when you get on it, kind of like the Ducati we did, right? Where, you know, the horsepower and the torque, it's not crazy quick, right? And this bike isn't really designed for that. But if you want to get into it, you can. If you want to take it easier, you can. I actually saw Triumph's video on this bike, and like if you don't have your full license over there, they can do something with the computer to I don't know, give it less power or whatever, and then once you get your full license, they can open it back up for you. So of course, you know, we don't really deal with that here in the United States. It's more of, you know, you get your motorcycle endorsement, you can pretty much ride anything that you want. You know, of course it's different over there. This thing stops really nicely. It's not too tall where I feel like I'm unstable. I mean, I almost can flat foot the bike, to be quite honest with you, which is pretty impressive. Some more of the, of course you have your heated grips, you have your heated seat button right here. I turn this on. Okay, yeah, your fog lamps on and off right there. I know the Pro has fog lights. I didn't think this one did though. I'll have to check that when I get back to the shop. Let's see how this thing does on the highway. When you pull in the clutch, the gear indicator does not go the way, by the way. I do like that. My feet are right up underneath me. My back is pretty much straight. Even though you don't have much of a rise or pullback, it's pretty freaking comfortable. Sixth gear now. 82 miles per hour. This thing hugs the road pretty well, dude. I honestly like this. not getting a ton of head buffeting, and I don't feel the bike moving over on the lane anyways. Yeah, I don't feel the bike moving all over, so that is a definitely a good thing. I mean, we're going almost 90. Very minimal vibrations up through my hands and my feet. I got a little bit, but not terrible. Yeah, just cruising. This thing is very comfortable. Now we're a little bit up there in the rev, you know, we're right under 6,000 RPMs, but for a motor like this where 97 horsepower is your max, you would kind of expect that. But even being higher up like that, I still don't feel like there's a ton of vibration up and through the handlebars and through my feet, so that's pretty nice. It's holding the road really well, and for a bike like this, as light as it is, it's holding way better than what I thought it would at speeds like this. Cornering ABS, of course, we kind of already talked about that, and I am not getting in his way. No, no, sir. Nope, you do your thing there, Bubba. Cornering ABS, traction control, all of those things that you would expect in a modern motorcycle. By the way, you can adjust the clutch lever over here. Got an interesting sound to the engine, right? And that 132 firing order probably has something to do with that. By the way, I did want to point out, I'm getting a little bit of heat up on my right leg, right? That's kind of where you expect it, but it's not significant at all. So it's actually really manageable. Trip 1, trip 2. Fuel status, service interval, color, style, contrast. You gotta be really careful around here. They dump all that dirt and rock on the road.
I figured out what that little symbol was that I was talking about on the road. That's actually the mode that you're in. So sport mode is the curvy road, and the mountains is off-road, and so on and so forth. But I want to talk about who this bike is for. Obviously, if you're doing any kind of dual sporting, then the rally version might be better for you. But if you want a bike that has plenty of ground clearance, you want to kind of sit up straight, you want to do a bike night, you want to go on trips with your friends. I mean, there's all kinds of, you know, saddlebags and luggage things that you can add to these. If dual sports are your thing, which I'm fairly certain that's what they consider this, even though it's the road version, then this is a great bike. And I think for the price, you know, even the rallies and the upper versions are like 17 to 18 grand, somewhere in there. But this one being $13,000 or right under $14,000 is so impressive, man, for everything you get, dude. It is really pretty freaking incredible, man. The traction control, the ABS, the cornering ABS, the different modes. absolutely beautiful. You can change it, customize to your heart's desire. Really nice. Love the clutch on here. Heated grips, heated seats. I also like the fact that it sits lower, man. So it's not so tall that you're intimidated if you are a little bit shorter rider, okay? Aesthetically, it is beautiful, man. LEDs all the way around. I love the lines. I love the look. It's liquid cooled, so it's gonna keep a lot of heat off of you. Again, how this thing will do on a longer trip, I really cannot speak to that. But I would think with the way the windshield's designed and just taking it out on the interstate, we got almost up to almost 90, and it really felt very comfortable even at those speeds. With the lighter bike like this, it holds the road really well. Shock absorption seemed pretty decent. Now, of course, in the upper versions, you have the option to go in the screen and then you can set preloads. You can adjust the suspension where it's softer or whether it's in more of a firmer type of setup as well. So the Pro model actually gives you some really cool options, you know, upgraded shocks, all that kind of stuff. So I think all in all, man, this thing offers a ton of features for the price. I'm really impressed with it. I'm going through what I think the cons would be, and I don't really know. I mean, you know, the seat, it's kind of firm, okay? This isn't something I'd want to be on for a long time, but you know, that's almost every single bike that's stock. There's really not a lot of cons that I can think of based on the price, the features, what you get. I'm really impressed with this thing. I seriously am. Now, here's one maybe potential con is getting parts or service done. I don't know how expensive that thing is. I know that, you know, anything from Britain or Europe or Germany or whatever tends to be more expensive when it comes to that stuff. I'm not really sure about Triumph, man. I can't answer that. You Triumph owners, let me know, man. How are those service costs? How are the things that you can buy for your domestic bikes compared to these bikes? Is it a ton more or is it about in line? Again, y'all let me know about that. Overall, I really like the bike. I'm impressed with the seating position as well. That's something I did want to mention because I'm straight up, you know, I'm not bent over or anything like that. I think if you're looking for a ton of power, even in sport mode, this may not be the bike for you. Again, we're under 100 horsepower and 87 foot-pounds. So that may be something you want to consider. They do make a 1200 version of this bike that's going to give you more torque and more horsepower. So that's it, man. The Triumph 900, it is a hidden gem that I found here at American Biker, and I'm so glad I did. Big thanks to you guys. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.